Miranda, thank you so much for introducing us to volunteering.
Wonderful idea.
It was.
Helping people is what I planned. That was my intention. Law school was tough, degree in hand. Got a big law position.
There's so much work to do. Just one lend a hand. My Brenda, CJP, caught her attention. She just took one. She liked it. The taste of social justice. She just took one. She liked it. It didn't take long to find that. It felt so good. It felt so right. And we made a difference tonight. We volunteered. We liked it. We liked it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we'll never be the same. What we did mattered. Helping others is not a waste. It's just human nature. It's what good people do. It's how we should behave. My heart is so infused. So I try to leave. We volunteered. We liked it. The taste of social justice. We volunteered. We liked it. It didn't take long to find that. It felt so good. It felt so right. And we made a difference tonight. We volunteered. We liked it. We liked it.
Hi, my name is Kelly Metz, and I'm a real estate attorney at Dykema. I have volunteered with SALSA for the past 3 years, and I've served at their veterans clinics, alternatives to guardianship clinics, and wills clinics. For my very first day as a volunteer with SALSA, I received so much training, mentorship, and support in the areas that I needed to provide meaningful legal services to clients from the very start. For the wills clinics and alternatives to guardianship clinics, I will admit that I was a bit apprehensive to raise my hand to offer these type of services without much experience, since my focus is mainly on real estate. But the great news is that SALSA has amazing in-depth trainings for all attorneys before they offer these clinics. And the best part of SALSA clinics is that they have on-site mentors who are experts in these fields, that as soon as you come across a complicated question that you're unsure about, or if you just need expert advice, the mentorship and expertise that they have available at these clinics just makes me feel so at ease to focus on providing what I really need to provide, which is just that opportunity to listen to what clients need, counsel them as best I can, and then if there's an issue that I need help with, there's a mentor right there to answer any questions that I need. The resources that SALSA provides to their volunteer attorneys is what keeps me coming back. They are so organized. They have the most energy when you either arrive in person to a clinic, which we're not doing much anymore, or you log in on Zoom. So that's the other reason why I'm just so excited to continue to be a part of SALSA, is that they continue to change with the times. They have the organization and resources available to move from in-person clinics to completely virtual clinics for clients. In 2020, I was able to attend all of the clinics that we would normally go to in person via Zoom and online. And the fact that we were still able to have access to clients who may not have been able to travel in person in the past was an amazing opportunity. And I can't recommend SALSA enough. If you have any interest in providing pro bono volunteerism and spending your time to give back to the community, SALSA is the place to do it.
Approximately a fifth of San Antonians live in poverty. In more than 3/4 of all civil trial cases in the United States, at least one litigant does not have a lawyer. Every dollar spent on civil legal aid creates $10 in benefits for the recipients of the assistance, their communities, and the state combined. Through strong community partnerships, San Antonio Legal Services Association is working to reduce the justice gap by mobilizing legal volunteers to transform the lives of those in need. This would not be possible without our community partners. Whether you are a lawyer, business, or a community member, join us in preventing homelessness, protecting individual rights, and advocating for vulnerable populations. Learn more online by visiting sa-lsa.org.
I'm Alan Dubois, and I'm a past president of the San Antonio Bar Association and the State Bar of Texas. It's very, very important to the citizens of Texas, those who can't afford legal services, that the limited resources of legal aid be supplemented by our volunteer time, our talents, and sometimes our ability to donate to be able to provide those services. And in my case, it's been in the area of volunteering and trying to help put together programs for those less fortunate in all of our communities throughout the state. When it came time to reach out to the veterans, where were we going to go? Our veterans come from all over South Texas because there wasn't a major center in the valley as well. And so the VA hospital was the perfect place, as they did in the DeBakey Center in Houston. We do that at the Audie Murphy Hospital, a Medal of Honor awardee from Texas. The other one I remember best is an older couple, also just a couple of years ago. And they came in because they had all the paperwork from their car that was smashed in on his wife's side. And in that circumstance, they were getting an offer from the insurance company, but it wasn't enough to fix it. And they had the adjusters and the people there and so on. And while we were talking, she had her arm in a sling. And so within a couple of months, they had a settlement both for her personal injury and for and if they hadn't walked into the Veterans Clinic, they would have just taken that check and moved on. The reward is the reward itself. The people are so grateful, and as we watch and see the effects of their service had on them and the situations they are, it's much better than just saying thank you for your service.
One time when I was volunteering at the Audie Murphy VA hospital, I was assigned a client who was living at essentially a motel that offered long-term leases, and he suffered from PTSD. This caused him problems with social interactions, which in turn led to issues with his landlord. He informed me that he was being evicted, and the landlord was throwing him out very soon, and he did not have time to secure new housing. So he ran a real risk of being homeless, being put out on the street. I talked to him for a while and went through the options and really realized the best option was just to try talking to the landlord on the veteran's behalf to see if there was any kind of accommodation that could be made. I called the landlord right there from the VA clinic, and after a few minutes of persuasion, the landlord agreed to give the veteran an extension of time before he was evicted. And the veteran was very, very grateful, really appreciated the fact that he was able to stay there and give him this, enough time to secure other housing, which he ultimately did. Now with COVID, we are working remotely, of course, for the veterans, and that involves preparing wills remotely using either the phone or Zoom, gathering their information, dealing with them through email. And although it's not as convenient as it once was to deal with them face to face, we're still able to assist them and provide the services that they need.
Crying on the corner, waiting in the rain. I swear I'll never try to help others again. You gave me your word, but words that you are lies. I never thought I'd be the one who doesn't lend a hand, but it's time I understand. I'm gonna swallow my tears. I'm gonna leave LA, the city of tears. All my life I've tried to make a change. I've been waiting for a sign that never ever came. Feel so close, but always disappear. You say, oh girl, it's a cold world when you try to change it yourself. I said you can't hide on the inside or the pain you've ever felt. You better refill your heart, but baby, don't look back, 'cause we got nobody else. We're running with the shadows of the night, so baby, take my hand, you'll be alright. Remember all your dreams, the world to fight, our strength in the end. I'm gonna hide my heart. I'm gonna swallow my tears. I'm gonna turn and leave you in my body. I never thought I'd love, but it's time to let you know. But I'm gonna
My name is Ian Schwartz, and I'm an associate attorney at Haynes & Boone. I'm one of 72 Haynes & Boone attorneys who volunteered to assist over 100 frontline workers in preparing their wills through the San Antonio Legal Services Association. While I am located in New York, Haynes & Boone is based in Dallas, Texas, and has a very strong connection to the San Antonio community. There was a firm-wide call to help with this project. In New York City, at 7 p.m. every day during the early days of the pandemic, there was a 7 o'clock clap, which consisted of people yelling and screaming out of their windows wherever they were, whether they were in their homes, their cars, walking on the street, it didn't matter. People were yelling and screaming in support of the frontline workers who were risking their lives to provide essential services and keep people safe. I found this daily appreciation inspiring, and I wanted to help. I jumped at the opportunity to volunteer for the Wills Clinic and help prepare wills for frontline workers to give their families some peace of mind while they provided life-saving treatments and other essential services. Volunteering with the Wills Clinic was a great experience. SALSA provided each attorney with templates and training videos in order to get up to speed, and also assigned mentors so that we could work with them throughout the process. Additionally, all out-of-state attorneys were paired with a supervisor licensed in the state of Texas to review the documents and make sure that everything was in compliance. We are very fortunate to be in the positions that we are in as practicing attorneys, and this project has inspired me to seek out more pro bono opportunities. Thank you to the San Antonio Legal Services Association for the opportunity to participate in this project, and thank you for all that you are doing to help others during this time.
Approximately a fifth of San Antonians live in poverty. In more than 3/4 of all civil trial cases in the United States, at least one litigant does not have a lawyer. Every dollar spent on civil legal aid creates $10 in benefits for the recipients of the assistance, their communities, and the state combined. Through strong community partnerships, San Antonio Legal Services Association is working to reduce the justice gap by mobilizing legal volunteers to transform the lives of those in need. This would not be possible without our community partners. Whether you are a lawyer, business, or a community member, join us in preventing homelessness, protecting individual rights, and advocating for vulnerable populations. Learn more online by visiting sa-lsa.org.
One, shake. It'll be too soon.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm so delighted to be the host tonight of this great event. And so welcome to the San Antonio Legal Services Association's Spirit of Public Service Awards. The mission of the San Antonio Legal Services Association, commonly known as SALSA, is to provide pro bono legal services for people in our community in need. Almost 20 years ago, two inspiring and forward-thinking judges, Judge Karen Poza and Justice Phyllis Speedlin, saw the desperate need for pro bono services in Bexar County, and they decided to do something about it. Together, they envisioned and created the Community Justice Program. CJP, as it was called, provided the framework for busy lawyers in the community to just take one pro bono case per year. Just over a year ago, the Community Justice Program was reorganized and became the San Antonio Legal Services Association. But although a different name, it maintained the same mission: to provide free legal services to those in our community in need. To ensure its continued success, SALSA needs all of us to donate our time, our talent, and our treasure. So please go to either the website at sa-lsa.org, or you can donate simply by texting the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 210-664-1123. And there you can donate or volunteer your time. CLE is pending for this evening, and after tonight, you'll get an email with all of the information, and you can self-report the CLE credit for tonight's event. With 8 staff members, SALSA operates 4 clinics, has several different programs, and facilitates extended representation in a variety of civil matters. Here to tell us more about it and the great work being done is SALSA's Executive Director, Sarah Dingavan. Sarah is a former JAG officer and was hired by the San Antonio Bar Association in 2017 to manage the Community Justice Program. And then in 2018, she worked with Robert Sosa to transition to the San Antonio Legal Services Association. So please join me in welcoming the Executive Director, Sarah Dingavan.
2020 was an unprecedented year for our community and a transitional year for the San Antonio Legal Services Association. We received significant grant funding that allowed us to hire new people who brought with them wonderful new ideas and to onboard new technology which fundamentally changed the way we can deliver services. Our widespread program development saw us serving people in new legal areas, including tenants' rights and protective orders, and allowed us to create new community partnerships with organizations like Haven for Hope. We created accessible resources to empower attorneys to volunteer outside of their practice area. And tonight, we celebrate what we accomplished in 2020. But SALSA staff are focused on giving you opportunities in 2021 and beyond. To learn more about what we do and how you can help, visit www.sa-lsa.org.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your leadership and all that you do for SALSA. When COVID hit last March, SALSA quickly pivoted to respond to its impact. In partnership with the Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid, SALSA started several programs to address the problems that COVID created for our community. First, as you've heard, the first program was the Tenants' Right Program. With funding from the City of San Antonio, SALSA staff and volunteers helped numerous clients avoid evictions by negotiating with landlords and also actually going to the JP courts. This is an ongoing effort, and certainly more volunteers are needed. The second program that was created was, as Sarah said, the Protective Order Program. Sadly, our community has a serious issue with domestic violence, And it's estimated that with COVID, domestic violence has increased by about 20%. SALSA is a member of the Collaborative Commission on Domestic Violence, and again in partnership with the Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid, SALSA helped train over 110 volunteers late last year on how to get protective orders, how to deal with protective orders, and all things protective orders. This is an ongoing effort as well, and so SALSA needs volunteers to help clients obtain these sometimes life-saving protective orders. So again, please go to the website sa-lsa.org to volunteer your time. Thank you. Finally, because of the alarming death rate due to COVID, SALSA's board and staff, along with the help of 500 volunteers, spearheaded SALSA's Wills for Healthcare Workers Clinic. And as you heard in the pre-program, that group of volunteers prepared over 1,750 estate planning documents, including over 350 wills last summer for our healthcare workers. So please join me in watching this video about the clinic.
Home with all the homeschooling.
I'll never forget the eerie feeling back in March when the COVID-19 pandemic hit our community. It was a true frenzy within the community with the lack of supplies at the grocery store, and our frontline employees over at University Health started to treat COVID-19 patients. There was a fear within them. Would there be enough PPE, medical supplies, or ventilators? And also, was it enough to protect them from the virus, or could they possibly take it home to their family and loved ones? During our March SALSA board meeting, our chair, Robert Sosa, asked how things were at the hospital. And quickly our conversation turned to, how can we make a difference? What can we do to help? And what developed from that conversation was the virtual Wills Clinic. And within 2 hours of opening it up to University Health frontline employees, we had over 250 applicants. Well, the virtual Wills Clinic is a huge success. And the reason for the success is the endless hours our SALSA staff members spent in developing the clinic, and the generosity of attorneys and law students who made sure that they not only volunteered for one, but sometimes 2, 3, even 5 wills.
This has been quite a year. When this thing first started in late February, March, there was so much uncertainty that was really, really hard on everyone to try and navigate this new normal, quote unquote. Many of the staff were very stressed, not only about what was happening and how to handle it, but also soon they were having to deal with closed schools. And so they would have kids at home with all the homeschooling and financial problems.
Sure. In my experience as a palliative care chaplain, I was often with the most critically ill COVID patients. I didn't actually go into their rooms, but it was in the hallways right outside the rooms, frequently with families as patients unfortunately were dying. And it was heartbreaking to see what was happening to certain families. Sometimes we would be coding someone, then a patient just right down the hallway would code. Also seeing kids unfortunately saying goodbye to their parents who were dying. It was very stressful for everyone involved.
Yes.
And I would be there with family members who I knew had previously had COVID because they had told me that on the phone. And then they said that they were now clear, but it certainly caused anxiety knowing that I was sitting there with people who had been dealing with COVID-19 themselves. I saw something in an email that went out to employees, and so I was very appreciative of seeing that we had this opportunity. And not only did we get the will, we got other important legal documents that were all, and I'm extremely grateful. Right, and COVID-19 is certainly a reminder of our mortality, and having our affairs in order is important. It's one of those things people don't like to think about, but it is important to do. And so we're very grateful that you all did this for us.
Thank you so much for the impact you have made to our heroes at University Health and all frontline employees. We truly cannot thank you enough.
As the pandemic continues, SALSA has again transitioned and is preparing wills now for medically vulnerable people in our community. Also, SALSA has started working with the local Bexar County probate courts to offer a legal help desk for people who need to probate their wills or their family member who's passed away to probate their will. So to continue this great work, SALSA needs our help. They need volunteers and they need donations. So I hope that you'll go to the website at sa-lsa.org to volunteer, or you can simply text the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, to the phone number on the screen. It is 210-664-1123. Tonight, we are honored to have the president of the American Bar Association join us. Her name is Patricia Rifo, and she is a partner with the law firm of Snell and Wilmer in Phoenix, where she handles complex litigation matters. Ms. Rifo has been named as onto the list of the National Law Journal's list of the 50 most influential lawyers in America. And we are honored to have her here with us tonight. So please give her a warm San Antonio virtual welcome.
Thank you so much, Chief Justice Marion, and greetings to all of you as we gather tonight to celebrate the critical work of SALSA and the outstanding lawyers who are being honored tonight with the Spirit of Public Service Awards. It's really my honor on behalf of the American Bar Association, a grateful American Bar Association, to recognize all of the staff and volunteers of SALSA for making equal justice under law a reality for the most vulnerable in our communities. It's also, of course, my privilege to be here with your distinguished Chief Justice, Nathan Hecht, a longtime friend and ally of the ABA in our work to promote justice for all. I don't need to tell you that Justice Hecht is a national treasure, and we appreciate his leadership in the bar and, of course, as president of the Conference of Chief Justices to ensure that the administration of justice elevates the needs of the public and serves those most in need. As those of you who are on the front lines of legal aid are acutely aware, this year has tested our justice system and has accelerated and greatly expanded the need for legal services beyond any other time in memory. And it's happened at the same time that courthouse operations have been restricted for public health reasons, often requiring the use of remote or virtual proceedings that can exacerbate the digital divide between those with easy access to technology and those without. That is one of the issues that the ABA works hard on almost every day to try to address. I am proud that the American Bar Association is the nation's leading advocate for legal services funding. I actually think it can fairly be said that the ABA helped to create the Legal Services Corporation in the first place, and our efforts for decades now to support LSC funding is at the very core of who we are and what we do. You know, I dare say that all of us became lawyers, at least in part, because we wanted to help people. Pro bono work is one of the ways that we live out that dream. Unquestionably, some of the most important and meaningful work I have ever done in my career has been pro bono work, helping real people in real need with real problems. One of the many ways at the ABA where we support pro bono lawyers is, of course, in the immigration space through the ABA's Children's Immigration Law Academy, where we train pro bono lawyers, and through our pro bono immigration and asylum projects on the border in both San Diego and Harlingen. I had the privilege to spend a week in Harlingen before the pandemic working on a pro bono case. And I will always remember the young mother with a horrific tale of political violence to support her asylum claim, who told me about praying the night before her asylum hearing, asking God to send an angel to be with her so that she would not have to be alone in the court. She was 7 months pregnant and unrepresented. And when she went to court the next day, a lawyer who was there representing somebody else saw her condition, saw that she was alone, and took her case on the spot pro bono, and he won her asylum. She told me this amazing story, and then she said to me, when my son was born, I named him after my angel, after her lawyer. I will never forget that story. And all of you who support the work of SALSA are angels in your own ways as well. We all know that the access to justice gap is too wide, that too many people in our country cannot access our justice system. And it is our responsibility as lawyers, individually in pro bono work and collectively as the organized bar, to help close that justice gap. At the ABA, we support public interest lawyers through any number of programs and other training projects to help support closing the access to justice gap. We also maintain Free Legal Answers, which is an online platform now operating, I think, in every state, that allows lawyers to serve individual legal needs of an individual in their community from their home, in their PJs at 10 o'clock at night, and provide advice to somebody who really needs it. I hope you know that the ABA's task force on the legal needs arising out of the pandemic is working to coordinate resources in pro bono and legal services across the country to try and share best practices and make resources available on the critical legal needs that we face. And we are proud to do that work with the help of the National Center for State Courts, the Conference of Chief Justices, the Administrative Office of the United States Courts, to ensure that we're working in common cause to maximize legal assistance for those who so desperately need legal services. You know, the work we have that lies ahead is enormous. But these efforts and many more, I hope, demonstrate the ABA's long-term commitment to mobilizing the lawyers of America on these issues that are so core to all of us, to advance justice under the rule of law. The ABA is proud to represent all corners of the legal profession and to serve as a light to bar associations at home and across the globe as we all navigate the many challenges and changes that lie ahead. We continue to work hard to demonstrate the value of what the ABA does. And we're here tonight to tell you how much we appreciate each of you for your tireless efforts to safeguard and expand access to justice. With your support and your involvement, you are making a difference in your communities. You truly are the angels of which that young woman spoke, helping asylum seekers, veterans, the homeless, domestic violence victims, the marginalized among all of us. We are proud of every one of you and proud for the difference that you are making. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rifo, for your comments, for your support of what we're doing here in the San Antonio area, and thank you for being with us this evening. And we appreciate your leadership. Now, joining us also is the San Antonio City Councilman Roberto Trevino. So please enjoy his message.
Good evening, supporters of the San Antonio Legal Services Association. I'm San Antonio City Councilman Roberto Trevino, and I'm grateful to be here to thank you for supporting this crucial organization and to celebrate those who have gone above and beyond in providing free legal services to members of our community in need. As City Council in 2020, we made it a priority to develop new and innovative ways to help keep people in their homes during the worst pandemic in 100 years. This includes more than $30 million in funding for housing assistance, including funds to support SALSA's work to provide pro bono counsel and legal advice for renters facing eviction. While we continue to work towards equitable housing policies in San Antonio, the work of SALSA and its legal volunteers is crucial to making sure that renters have the knowledge and assistance they need to ensure fair treatment in their courts. I want to thank you for your support of this organization and its important work and the expertise you provide to San Antonio as pro bono volunteers, and wishing you a happy new year.
Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening, Councilman. You know, SALSA it thrives under the leadership of its amazing members of the board and the leadership of its president, Robert Sosa. Robert is a partner with Jackson Walker. He is a graduate of UT Austin, as well as the University of Texas Law School. He has a thriving appellate and litigation practice here in Texas, in Mexico, and in New Mexico. He was recently named as one of the best lawyers in America. Frankly, I don't know how he does it all, but he is here this evening, and so please join me in a virtual welcome to President of SALSA's board, Robert Sosa.
Good evening, and welcome to our event. In August of 2018, I received a telephone call from outgoing SABA President Justice Beth Watkins and incoming President Santos Vargas, asking me if I would lead an effort to study proposals for the evolution and growth of the community justice program. I began meeting on a weekly and sometimes daily basis with Sarah Dingaban, the managing attorney at the time of CJP, to come up with proposals, study how other cities across the nation perform or deliver pro bono services, to look for best practices that we might be able to adopt here. We also formed a steering committee, and I want to thank those members of the steering committee who set the foundation for what we have become. Andy Kerr, Steve Darling, Michael Parker, Lee Cousenberry, and Marty Truss. We began meeting on a monthly basis, and by the summer of 2019, we had a framework for a proposal that we put before the SABA board in September of 2019. In October of 2019, those proposals were accepted and passed by the board, including new articles of incorporation and bylaws. And in October, the CJP new board met for the first time. I want to recognize the work of a very important part of CJP, and that is the work of the judicial co-chairs. As you heard, we were created by Judge Posa and Justice Speedlin when they formed CJP. And after Judge Posa and Judge Speedlin, a number of other judges stepped up. These judges play a crucial role in helping us recruit volunteers and also develop programs, and I want to recognize their efforts in their work for CJP. Judge Larry Knoll, Judge Lisa Jarrett, Judge Renee Yanta, and our current co-chairs, Judge David Canales and Judge Veronica Vasquez. Thank you so much for the work that you have done, and I'm looking forward to your continued support of our efforts. One of the great privileges I have is to recognize our volunteers who have performed outstandingly in the past year, and it is my privilege to award the 2021 SALSA President's Award to Faye Bracey and Sarah Dysert. Faye Bracey is the former Assistant Dean of Career Services for St. Mary's University Law School. In 2020, she began her retirement, and as we were kicking off our Wills for Healthcare Workers project, and we saw the huge interest in people who needed these services, we knew that we had an administrative burden that our staff couldn't meet. We needed help. One of our board members, Mary Stitch, reached out to Faye and asked if she had time to help, and Faye said yes, no task is too small. And for the next 6 weeks, she helped coordinate hundreds of volunteers with hundreds of healthcare workers, following up to make sure that the wills were completed, asking volunteers if they could volunteer for another project, and helping us meet this incredible burden, because it was important for us that we deliver these services timely. We did not know when a big wave of COVID cases would hit, and so without Faye Bracey's intense involvement in this project, we would not have had the success that we did. I want to thank you, Faye, so much for your efforts, for your work. You inspired all of us. And I would ask everyone who's attending to please join me in giving Faye a round of virtual applause. For those of you that are in the San Antonio legal community, Sarah Dysert needs no introduction. As you heard, within days of us opening this program, 250 pro bono clients signed up. At that point in time, we only had 40 volunteers. Mary Stitch again reached out to her classmate, former classmate, Sarah Dysert, and asked if she could help. Within days of her recruiting efforts, we went from 40 to 80 to 120 to 150. The ability to ramp up our recruiting so quickly allowed us to focus on the important job of delivering pro bono legal services to these healthcare workers. Sarah was not only involved in helping recruit, but she also helped in the very crucial role of helping us show our appreciation to our volunteers. Our volunteers are as important to us as our pro bono clients. It's important that they not only feel appreciated, but they are given a platform in which they can effortlessly perform legal services on behalf of the pro bono clients. Sarah made sure, with the help of Broadway Bank, that every volunteer that performed legal services on this project received a thank you note and a coin, allowing them to get a meal at a restaurant here in San Antonio. So I want to thank Broadway Bank, thank Sarah. Sarah, thank you so much for your efforts. You were so helpful in getting us where we needed to be as quickly as we needed to be there. I want everybody to help me thank Sarah Dysert by giving her also a warm virtual round of applause. And thank you all for attending our event tonight.
Thank you, Robert. Well, congratulations to both Faye and to Sarah. These are two remarkable leaders in our legal community who I am proud to know. But speaking of leaders in our legal community, we are so fortunate this evening to have the president of the San Antonio Bar Association with us. So please join me in welcoming the president, David Evans.
Hi, I'm David Evans, President of the San Antonio Bar Association. It is my pleasure to represent the bar today to support the San Antonio Legal Services Association and to extend my congratulations to the honorees, Sarah Dysart, Faye Bracey, and Haynes and Boone, for their efforts this past year. I've been privileged to watch the journey of the Community Justice Program, or CJP, as it blossomed into the San Antonio Legal Services Association, or SALSA. The newly independent SALSA is a result of years of perseverance by a handful of committed members of the CJP Volunteer Corps. CJP began in 2002 as a project launched by two industrious judges, the Honorable Phyllis Speedland and the Honorable Karen Poza. CJP created partnerships with the Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid and various social service organizations to host legal clinics. But the SABA board always knew CJP could do more good with an independent structure. In 2017, SABA demonstrated that belief by hiring the first attorney to lead CJP, Sarah Dingavan. And in January 2020, CJP became SALSA, an independent agency. Despite the challenges of going solo in 2020, SALSA has been providing legal services to residents in crisis through pandemic-related clinics, expansion of the historic Wills Clinic, and it recently unveiled the Veterans for Veterans Brigade, which mobilizes veterans to assist other veterans with pro bono services. Our history is forever intertwined. SABA members will continue to be SALSA volunteers, and SABA will continue to support pro bono through our charitable foundation. We encourage our friends and legal family to volunteer and support the largest volunteer attorney organization in San Antonio. Congratulations to the SALSA leadership and staff on this occasion of your first anniversary.
Well, thank you, David. Thank you for your leadership, David. We appreciate it. You know, SALSA relies on the generosity and support from members of the San Antonio community and beyond. Individuals who pledge or contribute at least $1,000 a year to support SALSA's mission, they become members of the SALSA's Justice League. In honor of Karen Poza and Justice Phyllis Speedland for the work that they did in starting up the CJP, SALSA has established the Poza Speedland Society, and individuals who contribute at least $2,500 per year for SALSA's mission will become members of the Poza Speedland Society. I want to thank all the individuals who have become members of the Justice League and or the Poza Speedland Society in the past year. I hope you saw the names of all of the individuals in the pre-recorded video that was before the program, but they'll also be displayed again during the musical performance later this evening. And we invite all of you to become a member of either the Poza Speedland Society or the Justice League by texting GIVE, G-I-V-E, to the number on the screen, which is 210-664-1123. Right now, we're at about $1,500 of contributions this evening, so please text and become a member of the League or the Society. Also, many of our outstanding businesses and law firms here in our area help sustain SALSA's mission. In particular, in the past year, Watts Guerra, the Broadway Bank, as you heard, and the Association of Corporate Counsel, along with many other law firms and businesses, have helped sustain the mission of SALSA. Again, those names were in the pre-program and they'll be displayed again in the musical performance later on, and we thank all of them. Tonight, we are honored to have Chief Justice Nathan Hecht with us. Justice Hecht is the longest serving member of the Texas judiciary. He was first on the district court bench in Dallas, and then on the 5th Court of Appeals in Dallas. And then in 1988, he joined the Texas Supreme Court. And since 2013, he has served as its Chief Justice. He is the court's liaison to the Texas Access to Judicial Commission. To the Justice Commission and to the Justice Foundation. He is a true advocate for pro bono legal services. I've actually seen him myself testify numerous times before the Texas legislature, asking for money to support pro bono legal services for veterans and for all Texans. So please join me in a warm virtual welcome for our Chief Justice Nathan Hecht.
Thanks, Chief Justice Marion. Thanks for the invitation to be here tonight. It's wonderful to be with you. Wonderful to be on the program again with Trish Raffel, the ABA president. She's doing a great job. The ABA has helped us a lot in all of these efforts, as well as through the pandemic. Hard to believe we're 6 weeks away from the first anniversary of the pandemic. March 13, the world changed. Up to that point, I thought Zoom meant to hurry down the highway. I doubt I would have ever been on it my whole life if things hadn't changed so dramatically. But within a few days of March 13, when we first declared an emergency for the state and issued our first emergency orders, judges and lawyers all over the state were learning to use Zoom very effectively in all sorts of proceedings, beginning to hear terms we'd never heard of before, like the digital divide and how to cross it, how to make sure that people who lack technology can get access to it so they can have the benefits of remote proceedings as well. The court's emergency order strategy started out to try to give judges as much flexibility as we could, and then as time passed to give them some direction as well. We started off with a state moratorium on evictions, but by mid-May, we decided that local efforts to handle eviction cases would be more productive and long-term would help us work through the changes that we were going to have to bridge because of the new circumstances that we're in. The Office of Court Administration has given wonderful guidance for us, and the presiding judges across the state, 11 of them, have really served us well in trying to help judges, courts, staff, and the public through these very challenging times. The preliminary numbers indicate that civil filings are going to be down in 2020, about a third. Debt collection cases, probably only about an eighth. So that means that people are filing debt collection cases, even though they're not filing other civil cases. So we'll see what all that means, whether there will be backlogs, whether things will be stacking up. On evictions, of course, there's been a CDC stay moratorium that expires on Sunday, although President Biden has directed that it be extended into March. And I anticipate the CDC will do that tomorrow or this weekend. I'm particularly proud that Governor Abbott has created an eviction diversion program with some $160 million in it to make sure that qualified tenants and landlords can have access to the funds to pay the tenants' rent, keep the landlords in a strong position, and we're rolling that out. And there have been some problems, as with every rollout, it seems, to try to get the money where it needs to be. But we're making progress on that, and I'm especially proud that all I had to do was mention to the governor that we could use some funding for access to justice because they're handling a lot of these cases for us as well as other cases. And I'm proud to say that all I had to do was say that to him, and he said, sure, and gave us $4 million. That's money we wouldn't have had, but for the support and the confidence that state leaders have in the work that legal aid providers do and pro bono lawyers do across the state. You and I know that, we know that, we're convinced, we're inspired, we're committed. But in the last several years, we've tried to make efforts to educate the general public, the business community, other professions about the impact of the denial of legal aid on society, the burdens that we bear because those who need legal help don't get it. And we made great inroads in that, and I'm particularly proud of the support that we gained in our own Texas legislature. The first public funding in Texas for legal aid was in 2009, and we've had it every session since. And it's not just general legal aid support, not just general appropriations. Several years I went across the street and asked very strongly for legal aid for an appropriation for legal aid for veterans. Everybody said, oh yeah, that's great. We'll get that right away. And we testified, we went to hearings, we went to meetings. There were always promises and nothing happened. Come up the Friday before Monday sine die, and I went across the street one more time, my third visit to Governor Patrick, to say, Governor, this is really a priority for us, and these people who served us well are hurting and they need our help. He said, I'm sorry it didn't come through. You can't get everything you want every session. Keep asking and maybe it'll come through. I went across the street to my office and I felt pretty bad. And a couple hours later, my general counsel called and said, we're just looking through some corrections in the budget, and there's $3 million in there for legal aid for veterans. And I told Governor Patrick, whenever I talked about legal aid for veterans, I would tell this story because it was he himself that got that first appropriation. And I tell everybody that it's better to be lieutenant governor than chief justice, but I think probably everybody knows that. So now with the pandemic, how are we all going to change? What's going to stick? What does getting back to normal mean? What's the new normal going to look like? I think there'll be still a lot of remote proceedings. We're gathering data across the country, and remote proceedings usually mean more participation in the proceeding. People can go and participate because they don't have to take off work. They don't have to drive downtown, look for a parking space and sit around the courthouse all day. And so I think there'll be a lot of that. Again, we have the digital divide to contend with. Remote proceedings are harder on courts because it's just nice when you're sitting there and everybody marches by one, and you don't have to move. But it's probably not the best way to run the justice system, and I think remote proceedings are here to stay. As someone mentioned, I'm president of the Conference of Chief Justices this year, and I can tell you in my years of service in that organization that access to justice is a priority to all the Chief Justices across the country. We have introduced resolutions about it. We have gone up to Capitol Hill and asked for federal funding for the Legal Services Corporation. We have gone to our respective legislatures to acquaint them with the need for legal aid. We've tried to make it real. We've tried to show people how important this is in people's lives. Now, I remember several years ago at a press conference, we had to introduce our legal aid funding in the Texas legislature. We had a lady come and she'd been a victim of domestic violence, and she told her story, and her lawyer was there. And she said at the end of it, she looked over at me, just eye to eye, and she said, you tell your colleagues on the Supreme Court, they saved my life. And it's stories like that that are the most powerful thing in the world for a mission in which we believe very deeply. So whatever does change, what won't change is the need. It's probably going up. And what won't change is the need for pro bono lawyers to help with all the work there is to do. It's inspiring to know all that you're doing to make the promise of justice real, and your efforts bear returns in thousands of lives. Thank you for all you do, each one of you. thank you for the invitation to share this wonderful evening with you. God bless.
Well, Chief, thank you so very much for being with us tonight, but also thank you for your leadership in the effort for pro bono services. We are so grateful for all that you've done. So thank you very
Absolutely.
much. And now, turning to the highlight of the evening, the Lee Kusenberry Impact Award. This award is named after Lee Kusenberry. For many years, Lee not only used his incredible talents to entertain us, but also to raise thousands of dollars for pro bono services in the San Antonio area. Lee and his wife have spent countless hours every year creating the annual Ethics Follies. Lee writes it, he directs it, he acts in it, he sings in it, and occasionally dances in the Ethics Follies. And the money raised from that event has been donated every year to continue the work of the Community Justice Program and now SALSA. Naming this award after this inspiring man is just a small token of SALSA's appreciation for all that he has done for pro bono services. So please enjoy this video about Lee Kusenberry.
Just get it finished before she gets there. And remember, be accurate but complimentary.
Which do you want now, accuracy or complimentary?
Yeah, you can't have both.
Somebody said Andrew Lloyd Webber is the one person who can produce a musical, direct it, fundraise it, write it. And I thought, oh, no, they don't know Lee Kusenberry.
I reflect on my position and ask the moral question, what's the right direction to go? I say, I don't know. Am I a puppet? I think you mean puppet. If I'm a puppet, I'm a very merry puppet. A very merry puppet.
I was on the board of the Bar Association at the time that we began the Community Justice Program. And at the time, it was such a novel concept. Frankly, some of us didn't know if it was going to work or not. And then it started working. And then we realized, well, we need some funding.
Thank you. I'm a man.
His role with raising funds for CJP through Ethics Follies is immeasurable.
I'm not going to give you those cards, Kermit. I'm honest. That's what I am.
I work all night, I work all day to pay the bills I have to pay. Ain't it sad? Best of all, we're going to raise some much needed funding for the Community Justice Program.
That's great. Thank you.
I have a plan. I wanna be like a wealthy man. Last 5 years, the 5 years we've received it, those proceeds have provided 50% of our budget each year that we have received those proceeds. Money, 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 must be funny. And as you have noted in the program, they have donated over $100,000. So thank you.
That's a money-making lawyer right there.
The benefit to SALSA, to the community justice program, can't be measured, because we were there at the beginning, provided this ongoing credible source of fundraising, brought in the Bar Association, the Community Justice Foundation, the Association of Corporate Counsel, and the arts community all together supporting pro bono legal services in San Antonio.
If I had a little money, it's a rich man's world. It's a rich man's world.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel.
There could not be a better person to name this award after. Lee kind of exemplifies what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be zealous advocates for our clients, but we're also supposed to be giving back, right? By naming the award after Lee, I think that SALSA has identified somebody that we all need to try to exemplify in our own lives.
It's a new life for me. Living ethically.
Well, I am honored to know both Lee and Terry, and I want to thank them both for all they have done for our community. We appreciate you both very, very much. And I am proud to announce that this year's winner of the Lee Kusenberry Award is the law firm of Haynes and Boone. When the call went out last summer for help to prepare wills and other estate planning documents for our healthcare workers, Haynes and Boone stepped up in a big way. Laura O'Donnell from the local office led the firm, and over 70 Haynes and Boone lawyers nationwide, from California to New York, volunteered. And as mentioned previously, over 1,750 estate planning documents and wills were prepared for our frontline healthcare workers. So congratulations to Haynes and Boone. Please join me in a round of virtual applause for Haynes and Boone, the first ever winners of the Lee Kusenberry Impact Award. Before we close out, I want to announce that we have now raised about $3,000, and you can continue to give by text or donate by texting GIVE to the number on the screen. You can join the Justice League for an annual pledge or contribution of $1,000, or you can become a member of the POSA Speedland Society by making a contribution or a pledge for $2,500. And you'll be able to continue to do that throughout the musical performance. So we've come to the end of the evening, and I thank you all. I hope you will volunteer your time by going to sa-lsa.org, or again, text GIVE to the number on your screen. But now, please enjoy the music of Panic at the Costco. Have a great evening, everyone.
One, check.
Hi, Lynn Briley. On behalf of my bandmates, Panic at the Costco, I want to thank you for attending this virtual event. I hope you had a great time. It was a pleasure performing for you. I want to thank you for donating your money, your time, and wishing you a great 2021.
Brown.